Sometimes the home we know is better than the home we don't. As we have seen firsthand, greener grass doesn't always mean more fertile pastures. But when we settle, growth stops and the soul begins to wither. Left long enough, we might look into a mirror one day, stripped of our youth, and see an unrecognizable reflection with eyes that died a long time ago. Hawks was comfortable in the hub. The innkeeper gave them a place to stay in return for their services to the town. Services that cost Hotlongs a leg in one fight. Thankfully, Els was a capable medic and managed to help save his life. The group even managed to source a replacement robotic limb from a nearby Hiver village. But the fact remained that Hotlongs had quite literally given a part of himself for this town. Yes, they were comfortable, but comfort did not equal fulfillment. Not for Hawks. While this town was free from the oppression of the United Cities, far away from the warmongering of the Sheks, and just outside of the reach of the religious tyranny of the Holy Nation, it was still subject to constant attacks from the greedy dust bandits. How long until one of them lost their lives? Sure, the group learned how to fight, but Hawks began to tire of it. A home was worth fighting for, but when every single day was a fight, it became a soul-crushing struggle. Cutting down men was not an easy thing to do for the gentle soul. Then one day, while exploring the surroundings, they met a rather strange man who told them of a free city in a place called Dreg. This place was far from the greed and destruction that man had brought down upon this land. But most of all, he mentioned that this was a place of peace. Hawks felt his soul instantly drawn to this mythical community, the place of peace, of sanctuary. But would it be another holy nation? Would they reject Els or Stork or even Hawks? Would they submit to violence the moment our heroes stepped foot on their soil? Stay here, and the soul will surely wither. Hawks had no choice. And so they greeted their friends at the hub. After tearful goodbyes and insistent requests for future visits, the group left the hub to find another new home. They crossed the border zone and entered into Dreg, where they swiftly made friends with the locals. Their newfound fighting experience came in great handy, but there were many of these creatures patrolling the fog. They would have to be careful. On the road, they made another new friend. Hawks said that he would handle it and squared up to this crazy-looking guy, but he had friends, lots of friends. They had no choice but to run as fast as they could. They got away, and even though they followed the instructions the man had given them, they could not find this promised sanctuary. That was until... oh no. Is that it? It's a dump. Worse than the hub. And it's filled with crazy people who run around and yell all day. What trickery is this? Hawks managed to communicate with this new breed of locals, but no one had any idea what they were saying. They had no choice but to turn back. They approached the ocean, which Hawks hadn't seen since he was a child. The fact that this much water could all be in one place, but yet not drinkable or usable in any way, always baffled his mind. It seemed so unfair. They decided to walk back home along the coast to take in the view while they could. As it turned to darkness, they spotted 2 burning campfires. Might this be a sign of intelligent life out here? They approached the campfires, but no one was around. They looked for signs of life when Truth, a recent recruit, yelled out, "Over there!" They turned, and there it was, a walled city right on the coastline. They decided to approach, and while Hawks knew he should feel happy, all he felt was fear. Fear that this would be another false utopia. That fear gripped his insides and turned this otherwise wondrous moment sour. But the guards offered no challenge as they approached, and they were let into the town without a problem. Hawks couldn't help but notice there was no ongoing fighting in the streets, like every other town they had been to. They explored and then headed for the bar where they met Linnaeus. He was the founder of this place, which he called Sanctuary. How perfect. Linnaeus was suspicious of our group at first, but soon relaxed and welcomed us. One thing was sure about Linnaeus, he absolutely hated the Holy Nation. They all did. He mentioned that they needed generator cores to expand the town even more. Hawks promised to help, but first, they would need rest. On the way to a table, however, a refugee started a conversation with Hawks. Her name was Surf, and she was an escaped slave. She was terribly abused as a slave, and one day she seized her opportunity and killed her master. Now she was here and bored out of her skull. She wanted action, adventure, and she noticed that we were from the outside. She pleaded with Hawks to come along. How could he say no? Welcome to the group, Surf, and do be careful what you wish for. The group discussed Linnaeus' request for generator cores and realized that there may be some at the ruins they saw earlier. And so they were back on the road, off to find the requested generator cores. The shrieking bandits didn't seem to mind their presence much, and so they were able to check the ruins. They found a single generator core, which they gladly scooped up. On the way out, though, some of these crazy bandits did decide to attack. Hawks gave the order to run, but Hotlongs was still getting used to his robotic leg and couldn't outrun the bandits. They had no choice but to stand and fight. Luckily, they won the fight. Nursing some extra wounds, the group made it back, where they sold their generator core to the barkeep. Linnaeus still wanted more though, and the group was eager to help. But for now, they were home after a long day and needed rest. Home. Maybe this is it. They sat around a table in the bar until late at night, discussing where they may find more generator cores. Stork suggested the Floodlands, an ancient place filled with mad machines and dangerous spider bots. Hawks agreed it would be a good test of the group's abilities, but to get there, they would need to brave the fog. Stork insisted that they swing by a place called Mongrel. They decided on the group that would go out. Hotlongs elected to stay home with his dodgy leg. Hawks wanted Surf to stay, as she was unproven in dangerous situations, but she refused. She joined the group to get out, not stay stuck here. And so, as the sun rose, they headed out to find the place called Mongrel. The fog was kind to them. They didn't meet a single local on their trip there. In Mongrel, they upgraded their armor, nearly blowing the budget, and also met 3 interesting characters. Shrike, an ex-tech hunter, went into obedience to find treasures. Robotic spiders chased her out and into the fog, where the fogmen chased her the rest of the way into Mongrel, where she has been stuck ever since. Then there was Crumblejohn, an old man whose bones were crumbling from old age, or so he said. It was more likely that it was because of that giant sword that he carried around. Could he even use it? Hawk suggested a lighter weapon, but Crumblejohn refused adamantly. Finally, meet Infinite Wingwang. He is a real Wingwang, but he's a big old softy on the inside. Once you really get to know him, he is less of a Wingwang. Hawks told them about Sanctuary, and they were eager to go, but they wanted nothing to do with the Floodlands. So they agreed to wait here for Hawks and the others to return, and they quietly resigned themselves to stay in Mongrel forever. No one comes back from the Floodlands. But our heroes made it through the fog again, and the Floodlands lay before them. It was a sight to behold. Ancient technology littered the landscape, but danger was everywhere. They would have to be careful. They found generator cores in some of the ruins, but then they spotted a tower in the distance. They approached and found a mad skeleton outside. He wasn't attacking though. Hawks tried to speak to him and found that he was very much still sane, unlike the others they had seen in this valley. He was knowledgeable too. It turned out that he wanted to dedicate his life to research, but that life in the Floodlands was becoming more dangerous by the day. So Hawks invited him to join the crew, and he gladly accepted. It would be nice to have a researcher on the team. The group spotted a ruin out in the water, and Hawks nominated himself to take the swim. And swim he did. But the ruin turned out to be a big hell no, so he swam back. They found another ruin on top of a mountain that had a totally normal trail of goodies leading to the upper floor. Hawks was suspicious, so he decided to take a little peek first. There were about 100 cannibals, so they got the heck out of there. It was time to head home. So they went back to Mongrel to pick up the new recruits. This annoying Hiver character simply wouldn't leave them alone. Eventually, Hawks decided to ask him what he wanted. Apparently, he wanted to become a master swordsman. His name is Beep. You may know him as the King of Kenshi. As our group arrived back in Sanctuary, they felt a familiarity with the place. They felt at home. No more dust bandit attacks, no more noble oppression, no more Shek hatred. This truly was home. But it wasn't theirs. You see, they were here at the mercy of Linnaeus. If he had a sudden change of heart or some outside influence got a hold of him, they would be left without a home once more. The only real way to ensure that you have a home, a forever home, is to build one yourself. Luckily, in Kenshi, you don't need a million cats to do that. All you need are some hard workers with a similar dream, and our heroes have that in abundance. It was time to build our own home. A place where each and every one of us would not only be welcome, but loved as well until the end of our days. But that is a story for another day.